A big day for XRP. Many have been talking about it, but we finally have the facts. We can officially now say that the SEC and XRP are done. That case is finished, and there's a very interesting outcome, as well as some pretty bullish news coming off the Xrpl and why a particular analyst thinks that we're going to see a massive gain in the price of XRP very, very soon. We're going to be breaking it all down for you in tonight's video, so make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And as always, don't forget, check out some of the links in the description. Marbits.io, the token you need to take a look at. Join the Telegram, get involved, it is epic. Now, with that being said, let's get into this XRP update. So, the moment I guess many of us have been waiting for. 2 million views on this post by Stuart Aldertree saying the final crossing of the T's and dotting of the I's, and what should be my last update on the SEC versus Ripple ever. Last week, the SEC agreed to drop its appeal without conditions. Ripple has now agreed to drop its cross appeal. The SEC will keep $50 million of the $125 million fine already in an interest-bearing escrow in cash. Very interesting. With the balance returned to Ripple, the agency will also ask the court to lift the standard injunction that was imposed earlier at the SEC's request, all subject to commission vote, drafting of a final documentation, and the usual court processing. That's all, folks. Again, it's over. Years upon years of suppression, concern, confusion, and much more is now done. The SEC versus Ripple case, and actually we're seeing more and more cases. In fact, I actually don't believe there's many now outstanding from the previous administration that now sitting under the Gary Gensler administration that's now even there. Mark Ueda getting rid of these. Paul Atkins obviously in front of the Senate House this week. Could be bullish news as well. But 50 million is what's been paid. I guess this is a tick in the box. This is a look. Thanks for everything. Now let's move on. Let's get this show on the road. We know that banking institutions are getting involved, and we know that the Trump administration is very much a pro-cryptocurrency standpoint. So this is super, super bullish. Now, also coming out of today, some very good news if you are interested in XRPL. Now, someone would say, hey, Tube, you talked about XRPL many, many moons ago, and I would say that's true. I said XRPL would be a key part of why XRP and Ripple would be such a big player this bull run. Well, guess what? 2.8 billion transactions says exactly that. Jasmine Cooper, the head of Ripple X, talked about the effectiveness of the XRPL, and it's one of the major reasons that institutional investors are drawn to it. Now, I always get into this sentiment that people don't generally just randomly spout things. So, for example, Jasmine Cooper here saying, well, institutional investors are looking at XRPL. Institutional asset issuers and investors are using XRPL because of its speed and reliability. For example, OpenEden has recently hit milestones in tokenizing US Treasury bills on the platform. That's right. Not many people are talking about this. We're seeing this movement of traditional finance sectors now moving to the blockchain and, more importantly, therefore being tokenized, all sat on the XRPL's platform. Very bullish indeed. Regulated exchanges such as Arcax are even listing tokenized assets created on the XRP ledger, and it's becoming more acceptable for mainstream financial institutions to get involved, whether that be DeFi, stablecoin, tokenization, and much, much more. And this is why a lot of people now are thinking and analyzing the data to suggest that XRP could be setting up for a very, very strong move indeed. We're currently down about 1%, sitting about $2.44 in the last 24 hours. The market actually having a real turmoil in the course of today, but many people believe, aligned to the long-term holders in cryptocurrency right now, that we have a bull flag pattern starting to play out. This could be very optimistic for a potential break to the upside. The other big narrative being talked about is ETFs. We know that Fidelity now listing for their Solana ETF, and the rumor mill going ahead that BlackRock could be coming very soon to get their XRP over the courtyards. And I think this could be very interesting. When we look at things like net inflows, for example, $6.7 million flowing into XRP ending March 21st. So we know that people are absolutely pivoting now to take a position up in XRP. And if you take a look at the chart from all-time highs, it's only down about 28% versus, say, 40% on Bitcoin, maybe 80% in some other altcoins, which is kind of crazy to think about. Why? You've got solid holders. And I'm going to sit here and tell you that, oh, everyone's diamond-handed XRP. No. The institutions are buying. Yes, there's a lot in an escrow, which Brad Garlinghouse has openly come out and said, look, we may just tailor that back a little bit. Remember, that, in my opinion, has been held for the banks, the financial markets, and much more. They're going to want to come in and they're going to want to hold a proportion of it. And the answer is they're not going to want to buy it on the chart. That doesn't mean, though, that it can't start to move the price. And I think one that we need to be mindful of is tokenization of financial products has to be very bullish. Now the shackles are off. There's nothing holding it back, and we're set for some solid movements. Take a look here at the 3-day chart. Like we said, just holding under 245, but a very interesting chart structure starting to play out as we follow this movement. Could we start to see the upper range breakout test at around 281? That would be pretty bullish if the momentum continues with us. We broke over the 20-day exponential moving average. Our MACD is starting to trend potentially to the upside on the 3-day, and RSI is looking pretty good in the middle there. So watch out. I think we could be seeing some very interesting volatility in the market, but I do believe we're going to see some upside moves when it comes to XRP. But $50 million fine, and more importantly, 2.8 flawless transactions, 2.8 billion flawless transactions on the XRPL. Well, tells me we are bullish on the right coin. Let me know what you think of all of this in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of the $50 million fine. Drop it, as always, in the comments down below. And again, don't forget, check out the links in the description. Hit that like button and subscribe. It massively helps out the channel. You guys recently are absolutely killing it. So thank you so much for all the support recently on the channel. I really do appreciate it. But right, I'm out of here. Drop that comment. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.